There are some people on this earth who walk under an invisible covering, an unseen shield that keeps them from harm, betrayal, and destruction. They may not realize it, but heaven itself guards their path. When a woman is protected by God, no curse, gossip, or manipulation can truly destroy her. Evil may circle her, but it cannot enter her life. There's something sacred about the woman whose life has been sealed by divine purpose. Every step she takes, every tear she cries, every battle she faces, God turns it all into strength. You can see it in her eyes. There's a calm that doesn't make sense. There's a light that doesn't fade, no matter how many shadows try to surround her. She may be misunderstood, attacked, or rejected, but she is never abandoned. She walks in the confidence that if God be for her, no one, absolutely no one, can stand against her. This message is for every woman who has walked through betrayal, through heartbreak, through the schemes of evil people, and yet you are still here. You didn't lose your sanity. You didn't lose your faith. You may have lost friends, but you didn't lose your soul. That's not by accident. That's divine protection. There are 8 signs, a pattern that reveals when God has placed his protection over a woman's life. These signs aren't random. They are markers of destiny. And if you recognize them in your own life, it's not because you're perfect. It's because God has chosen you for something that evil cannot touch. The first sign that a woman is protected by God is unexplainable peace in moments of chaos. When storms rage around her, when everything is falling apart, and when the world expects her to break down, she doesn't. She may cry, but she doesn't crumble. She may stumble, but she doesn't fall apart. Why? Because her peace doesn't come from people. It comes from presence. God's presence is her anchor. She doesn't need the world's validation. She has heaven's assurance. People look at her and wonder, how are you so calm? How can you still smile after all that? What they don't realize is that she's not calm because life is easy. She's calm because she knows who holds her life. When evil tries to disturb her mind, God quiets her spirit. She prays, and peace floods her heart again. That's protection. The second sign is discernment that feels supernatural. She may not have evidence, but she knows when something or someone is wrong. God whispers to her spirit, don't go there. Don't trust that. Step away. She may not understand it at first, but later she sees why. God saved her from friendships that would have drained her, from relationships that would have broken her, from places that would have destroyed her faith. This woman listens to the quiet warnings of the Holy Spirit. She doesn't need drama to see truth. Her spirit just knows. Evil people can pretend, manipulate, and lie, but they can't hide from divine discernment. She may not expose them publicly, but she quietly walks away. She's not naive. She's guarded by divine intuition. The third sign is isolation that leads to elevation. There are seasons when she feels alone, Not because she's unloved, but because God is separating her from distractions. It hurts at first. She wonders why people are leaving, why things aren't working, why she feels cut off. But later, she realizes God was removing her from environments that could contaminate her purpose. When God protects a woman, He sometimes hides her. He hides her until she's ready. He hides her from people who would exploit her gift. He hides her from relationships that would delay her calling. He hides her because not everyone deserves access to her anointing. Isolation is not punishment. It's protection. The fourth sign is that everything meant to harm her ends up helping her. She's been betrayed, but that betrayal made her wiser. She's been heartbroken, but that heartbreak deepened her compassion. She's been overlooked, but that silence gave her strength. Every attack the enemy designed to destroy her, God flipped into her testimony. Evil cannot win against a woman whose pain becomes her power. This woman doesn't seek revenge. She lets God handle it. And every time someone tries to curse her, God blesses her twice. Every time someone lies about her, God exposes truth in His time. That's the mystery of divine protection. It doesn't mean she won't face evil. It means evil will never win. The fifth sign is favor that doesn't make sense. Doors open for her that others can't explain. Opportunities appear that she didn't chase. People help her who have no reason to. She walks in grace not because of who she is, but because of who she is. When God puts His hand on a woman's life, even her mistakes can lead her to miracles. Evil people may try to block her path, but they can't stop what God has ordained. They may talk behind her back, but they can't touch her destiny. Favor surrounds her like a shield. It's visible, undeniable, and unstoppable. She doesn't compete or compare. She just stays faithful, and God keeps elevating her. The sixth sign is a forgiving heart that confuses the enemy. When people do her wrong, she forgives them, not because they deserve it, but because she refuses to be chained by bitterness. She understands that revenge belongs to God. She releases the pain so her spirit stays free. And that's why evil can't control her. Because she doesn't hold on to hate. A forgiving woman is the devil's worst nightmare. He wants her bitter, but she chooses better. He wants her broken, but she chooses peace. Forgiveness doesn't make her weak. It makes her unstoppable. Because every time she forgives, she creates space for God to fight on her behalf. The seventh sign is resilience that feels divine. She's been through storms that would have destroyed others. But every time she gets knocked down, she rises stronger. She doesn't give up. She doesn't quit. She knows her worth and she knows her God. Her strength doesn't come from her personality. It comes from her prayer life. When she prays, heaven listens. When she speaks, things shift. When she walks, darkness trembles. Because this woman has been through the fire and she came out refined. The very battles that were meant to crush her made her unshakable. Evil doesn't intimidate her anymore. She's seen too much of God's faithfulness. And finally, the eighth sign that a woman is protected by God is purpose that won't die. No matter what happens, she keeps moving forward. She may take breaks, but she never quits. Her calling keeps pulling her back up. God keeps reminding her, you were born for this. She may not have all the answers, but she walks in faith anyway. The enemy tries to confuse her, distract her, and discourage her, but her purpose burns too deeply to be extinguished. That's divine fire. It can't be stolen. It can't be silenced. Evil can't stop what God started. This woman doesn't chase success. She chases obedience. And because she obeys, success follows her. She may not always see it, but heaven does. Every small act of kindness, every silent prayer, every time she chooses faith over fear, God writes it all down. And that's why no weapon formed against her can prosper. Look at her story. Look at what she's overcome. She's not protected because she's lucky. She's protected because she's chosen. God saw something in her heart worth defending. And when God decides to protect someone, no power in hell can interfere. So to every woman listening, if you feel like you're constantly being attacked, misunderstood, or isolated, don't lose heart. That's often the first sign that God's hand is upon you. The attacks are evidence of your anointing. The enemy doesn't waste energy on people going nowhere. The greater your calling, the greater the opposition. But also, the greater the protection. When God covers you, you can walk through betrayal and still love. You can face rejection and still rise. You can be surrounded by enemies and still sleep in peace. Because you know the truth. What's meant for evil will always turn for good. You may not see it yet, but God is working behind the scenes. Every person who left, every tear you cried, every door that closed, it was all part of divine redirection. God was never punishing you. He was protecting you. You are not forgotten. You are hidden for greatness. You are guarded by grace. The world may not understand your peace, your strength, your silence, but heaven does. Every day you wake up and choose faith, you're proving that darkness didn't win. Every time you smile through pain, you're declaring victory. Every time you forgive and move forward, you're reminding the enemy that you're untouchable. Because when a woman walks under divine protection, evil can observe her, but it cannot enter her life. It can whisper lies, but it cannot destroy her truth. It can form weapons, but they will never prosper. This woman may not have everything the world celebrates, but she has something far greater. She has God's covering. And under that covering, she is unstoppable. Her story is still being written. Her strength is still unfolding. And her destiny, no matter who tries to block it, will come to pass. If you're that woman, lift your head. You are not behind. You are being prepared. You are not rejected. You are being refined. You are not unworthy. You are chosen. God is surrounding you even now. He's protecting you from conversations you never heard, plans you never saw, traps you never fell into. You may never know how many times heaven intervened on your behalf. But one day you'll look back and realize you were never unprotected for a single moment. Every scar you carry is proof that you survived what was sent to destroy you. Every victory you hold is proof that God's hand never left you. So stand firm, walk tall. You are not ordinary. You are divinely guarded. You are a daughter of the Most High, and no evil power can touch what God has called His own. Let your faith be your armor. Let your peace be your weapon. Let your kindness be your vengeance. And remember this truths. When God protects a woman, she doesn't need to fight every battle because God fights for her. Stay faithful. Stay pure. Stay discerning. Because even when you can't see it, angels are encamped around you. Evil may roar, but it will never prevail. You are protected, you are chosen, and you are destined for greatness that no darkness can steal. You are the woman heaven guards, divinely, fiercely, and eternally. A woman protected by God carries divine peace that shields her spirit even in storms. She is surrounded, but not shaken. This kind of peace doesn't come from comfort. It's not the result of having an easy life or perfect circumstances. It's a supernatural calm that comes straight from heaven, a calm that doesn't depend on what's happening around her. It depends on who lives within her. She may walk through chaos, but chaos doesn't live in her. The world may be loud, but her heart remains still. She may feel the winds of betrayal, the sting of rejection, the weight of uncertainty, but none of it breaks her. Her peace becomes her armor. It surrounds her like a fortress that evil can't enter. When people talk behind her back, she doesn't react in anger. She prays. When plans fall apart, she doesn't collapse. She trusts. When others panic, she stays grounded. Why? Because she knows that storms don't last forever, but God's protection does. She's learned to anchor herself, not in people, not in money, not in approval, but in faith. There's something different about her presence. You can feel it. She carries stillness, not because life has been gentle with her, but because she has learned to rest in divine hands. The same God who walked with her through her darkest nights now shines through her in quiet strength. Even when life feels heavy, she refuses to let worry take her peace. She's been through too much to let fear rule her anymore. She's seen God come through too many times to doubt His power now. Her peace is not weakness. It's power under control. It's proof that her trust runs deeper than her troubles. People often wonder how she's still standing, how she can go through heartbreak, disappointment, loss, and still smile. But what they don't realize is that she's not standing in her own strength. She's standing on the rock that never moves. When everything around her shakes, she doesn't, because her foundation is unshakable. Her peace confuses her enemies. They can't understand how their words don't break her, how their jealousy doesn't touch her, how their plans never seem to succeed. That's because she's not protected by luck. She's protected by grace. Her peace is proof that God is fighting battles she never even sees. She walks through storms the way lions walk through rain. Focused, fearless, and unbothered. Because she knows who walks beside her. She knows that even if she can't see the outcome, God is already in control of it. And when peace like that fills a woman's heart, no evil can shake her, no betrayal can destroy her, and no fear can silence her. She becomes a living example of Philippians 4:7, and the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. That peace is her inheritance. It guards her mind from anxiety, her heart from bitterness, her spirit from despair. She doesn't have to prove anything. She doesn't have to explain herself. She knows that God's peace is her silent defender. While others fight to be heard, she stays calm because she knows her peace speaks louder than her words ever could. And that's the power of a woman protected by God. She may walk through fire, but she doesn't burn. She may be surrounded by storms, but she doesn't drown because her peace is not from this world. It's divine, it's sacred, and it's unbreakable. Her discernment and purity of heart create invisible walls against deceit, envy, and evil intentions. You see, when a woman walks closely with God, she begins to see with spiritual eyes. She may not know everything, but her spirit does. She can walk into a room and instantly sense the atmosphere. She can feel when something is not right. She can look into someone's smile and discern the truth hidden behind their words. That's not suspicion. It's divine discernment. It's the voice of God whispering in her spirit, "Be careful. Don't trust that. Walk away." People may think she's overreacting, but time always proves her right. Because when a woman is connected to heaven, her intuition becomes a weapon. She doesn't need to fight with words or expose people publicly. She simply lets her discernment guide her steps. And before evil can strike, she's already moved out of the way. That's protection in motion. Her heart is pure. And because of that purity, darkness cannot attach itself to her. Evil intentions lose power when they come near her because they cannot coexist with genuine light. She loves sincerely, she forgives quickly, and she prays deeply. And that purity builds spiritual walls around her life that no enemy can penetrate. It's not that she's blind to people's flaws. She just chooses not to let their darkness pollute her spirit. She doesn't return hate with hate. She returns it with silence and prayer. Her quietness is not weakness. It's wisdom. She knows that not every battle deserves her energy, and not every person deserves access to her peace. And that's what makes her untouchable. Her purity frustrates evil people. They can't figure her out. They can't manipulate her because her discernment sees through their intentions. They can't provoke her because her heart refuses to respond with bitterness. They can't control her because her spirit listens to a higher authority. She's not easily fooled by flattery. She's not blinded by charm. She can see beyond appearances, beyond smiles, beyond nice words. Her spirit feels what the eyes can't see. Even when someone hides their envy behind kindness, she senses it. She doesn't always call it out. She just creates distance and lets God handle the rest. That's the power of a woman whose discernment is alive. She's not led by emotions. She's led by revelation. She doesn't react to everything she sees. She responds to what God shows her. And because of that, she avoids traps that others fall into. She dodges relationships that look good, but aren't good. She escapes friendships that are secretly built on jealousy. She stays grounded in truth, even when lies surround her. Her purity of heart doesn't make her knave. It makes her spiritually dangerous to darkness. Because purity gives her clarity. The cleaner her heart, the sharper her discernment. The more she forgives, the more her spirit sees. And that vision, holy, steady, and divine, becomes her shield. That's why deceit can't reach her. Envy can't touch her. Evil intentions can't break her. She is protected not by walls of pride or anger, but by walls of light built through prayer, humility, and holiness. Every time she chooses truth over gossip, she builds another layer of that wall. Every time she refuses to return evil for evil, the wall grows stronger. Every time she prays for those who hurt her, heaven reinforces her protection. Her discernment keeps her safe, and her purity keeps her powerful. She walks through life quietly, but spiritually she's surrounded by angels. Evil people may plot behind closed doors, but before their plans ever form, heaven dismantles them. Her discernment warns her. Her purity disarms them. Because a woman whose heart is clean cannot be corrupted. A woman whose spirit is awake cannot be deceived. And a woman who listens to God cannot be destroyed. Her discernment is not paranoia. It's preservation. Her purity is not weakness. It's armor. Together they form an invisible shield that guards her life, her peace, and her destiny from everything that was never meant to enter. And that's why she remains calm when others lose control. That's why she smiles when others worry. That's why no weapon formed against her can prosper. Because her discernment sees it coming, and her purity blocks it before it lands. She is protected from the inside out. The light within her is greater than the darkness around her. And that's what makes her unstoppable. God's favor upon her life makes her untouchable to darkness. What is meant to harm her becomes her stepping stone. There is something divine about a woman walking under the favor of God. You can see it, you can feel it, and you can't explain it. Everything about her life seems to carry a different rhythm, a heavenly rhythm. Doors open for her that others tried to force. Battles that should have broken her somehow built her. Even when she walks through pain, purpose is waiting on the other side. That's what favor does. It transforms harm into help, betrayal into blessing, rejection into redirection. The very things that were designed to crush her become the very things that crown her. What was sent to wound her ends up awakening her. Every attempt to stop her becomes another reason for her to rise. Evil people may gather to plot against her, but they always end up pushing her toward her destiny without realizing it. Every insult becomes motivation. Every obstacle becomes training. Every delay becomes divine preparation. Because when a woman carries favor, her story doesn't end in defeat. It ends in revelation. She learns that the hands that tried to hold her down were actually lifting her up. The voices that tried to silence her ended up amplifying her truth. The pain that tried to bury her planted her deeper into God's promise. She realizes that no darkness can touch a destiny that's covered by divine favor. That's why she doesn't panic when life turns against her. She's seen too many times how God flips the script. She's learned that favor doesn't mean freedom from battles. It means victory in them. It means she might fall, but she won't stay down. It means she might cry, but her tears are watering her next blessing. It means what others call the end. Heaven calls the beginning. Even the enemy is forced to watch as everything he meant for evil turns into good. That's divine irony. That's what happens when God places his hand on a woman's life. No attack succeeds because the very weapon formed against her becomes the material for her miracle. When she faces rejection, God says, I'm redirecting you. When she faces loss, God says, I'm replacing it with better. When she faces betrayal, God says, I'm protecting you from something you couldn't see. Nothing is wasted under divine favor. Not a tear, not a heartbreak, not a moment of pain. God recycles it all into purpose. People may wonder why she still rises, why she still glows after so much struggle, why she still believes after so much loss. It's because favor turns pain into promotion. Every setback was secretly a setup. Every closed door was divine preservation. Every no she received from people made room for a yes from heaven. When God's favor rests on her, darkness can observe her, but it can't touch her. It can roar, but it can't reach her. It can whisper lies, but truth always exposes them. She is surrounded by divine light, and where there is light, darkness loses its power. Favor makes her unexplainably resilient. People throw stones at her, and she builds a staircase with them. People try to bury her, and she grows roots instead. People try to discredit her, and God gives her a platform. What was meant to humiliate her becomes what elevates her. That's what happens when favor fights for you. She doesn't have to chase blessings. They chase her. She doesn't have to beg for opportunity. God positions her in the right place at the right time. She doesn't have to defend herself. Her fruit speaks for her. That's the mark of divine favor. She moves in grace that cannot be explained or replicated. And here's the secret. Favor doesn't always make her life easy, but it makes her life purposeful. Every hardship pushes her closer to her calling. Every betrayal sends her deeper into prayer. Every valley brings her to higher wisdom. What others see as failure, God sees as formation. So she learns to thank God, not only for open doors, but for closed ones too. Because favor knows what's dangerous for her, even when she doesn't. Favor knows when to block her from people, from opportunities, from paths that look good but lead to destruction. And that's why she walks with quiet confidence. Not arrogance, not pride, but certainty. She knows she's covered. She knows she's chosen. She knows that no weapon, no scheme, no curse can touch her as long as she stays in alignment with God's will. Favor doesn't make her better than others. It makes her more aware of who is with her. It reminds her that everything she is, everything she has, everything she'll ever be, is a result of divine grace. And as long as she keeps her heart humble, that favor keeps flowing like a river that never runs dry. She becomes unstoppable, not because she's perfect, but because she's protected. Not because she's strong, but because grace strengthens her. Not because she's fearless, but because she knows fear cannot coexist with faith when favor surrounds her. So when life throws her into the fire, she doesn't burn, she shines. When people try to block her blessing, God moves the blessing somewhere they can't touch. When the enemy tries to turn her story into shame, God rewrites it into glory. Because that's the unshakable truth. A woman favored by God cannot be destroyed. She can only be redirected. Every scar becomes part of her strength. Every trial becomes part of her testimony. Every loss becomes part of her legacy. And one day, when she looks back, she'll realize that every single thing that tried to harm her was secretly helping her climb higher. That's divine favor. It doesn't just protect you, it propels you. It doesn't just shield you, it shapes you. It doesn't just keep you safe, it makes you shine. And when God's favor rests upon your life, you don't have to fear the darkness. Because even in the darkest valley, His light walks beside you.